Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, of course.
We will get started with Tobias Wilborn.
All right. Hey, man, how's it going, man?
Pretty good. How are you?
Man, fantastic, man. Thank you for taking our time to do this with us.
Yeah, of course.
How has the relationship between you and Jake, along with Joe, developed, particularly during these last 3.5 months?
So coming into Penn State, I didn't know Jake. I didn't know Crystal, any of them. I knew Coach Lorig. Lorig was great. He recruited me. And then through the past 3 months, though, I feel like Coach Lorig done a really good job of trying to keep us together as a unit. And me and Jake, he's one of my best friends here. We talk almost every day, even through quarantine. So I think we've gotten closer. But, yeah, we're good.
Audrey Snyder.
Hey, Jake, thanks for your time this afternoon. Oh, I'm sorry, Jordan, rather. I wanted to go back to your recollection. Obviously, Penn State plays Virginia Tech week 2. What do you remember about the atmosphere there? How much are you looking forward to that one?
Virginia Tech does have a really good atmosphere, and I'm really, really excited to play Virginia Tech. I'm excited to go to their house, my old place, and play with my new team. And I'm just really excited about the opportunity to actually get to play Virginia Tech.
Donnie Collins.
Hey, Jordan. During quarantine, was there anything you couldn't do that you really wanted to do, training-wise, working on punting, kicking, anything like that?
So during quarantine, I'm from a really small town. So I was allowed to use my high school field and weight room. So I got all the work I needed in there, honestly, just as much as I've gotten here. So I feel like that time off didn't hurt me at all. If anything, it made me better.
Mark Brennan.
Paul, I think we were remiss in not welcoming you to the calls yesterday. Sorry about that. But Jordan, for you, could you tell me a little bit about the coaching dynamic between Joe Lorig and the punters and kickers? Because it would seem like that would be a little different than maybe a quarterback's coach or, a linebacker's coach. And what can you tell me about his coaching style with special teams? Are there messages that he tries to get across, that sort of thing?
Okay, yeah, I've been around a lot of coaches, and thus far, Coach Lorig has been the best coach I've been around when it comes to special teams. He pushes us. He's hard on us at times, but he's hard on us at the right times. Like, let's say I miss a kick in practice. He doesn't yell at me. He just comes up to me. He's like, hey, like, what did you do wrong? What can you do better? I want you to do that the next rep. I feel like a lot of special teams coaches don't do that. I feel like they get mad at you and, like, yell at you. And I feel like the way Coach Lorig coaches, like, is the best suited for me in the way I play.
Bob Flounders.
Hi, Jordan. Thanks for your time today. Pretty early in your Penn State career, you hit a 57-yard field goal in that close win over Pittsburgh. That was a big kick. What did that do for your confidence? What did it do for, you think, maybe the coaching staff's confidence in you? And I was just curious about your thoughts on kind of adding possibly punter on your resume of jobs at Penn State.
Okay, yeah. Well, during all the offseason, I told the coaches that I am capable of making long field goals, and then they slowly I kept making longer field goals, and finally they realized maybe I could actually do this in a game under pressure. So, like, at the end of practice sometimes, they get the whole team around me, make me hit like a 65-yard field goal or something. And after doing that a few times and making most of them, he realized I would be able to do it in a game. And during Pitt at halftime, I went up to coach. I'm like, hey, like, let me kick this. And he let me in. After that happened, I feel like that really boosted their confidence. And I'm just so thankful that they were giving me the opportunity, because it's not like that everywhere.
Tyler Donahue.
Hey, good afternoon. Good to speak with you. Last year, towards the end of the season, Blake talked about you as his potential replacement, expressed a lot of confidence. What did he do during his time on campus to help you prepare to compete, to take over that punter role?
Yeah, Blake was a really good mentor. If there was anything I ever needed help with, because he is a little more seasoned in punting than I am, I have been punting since I started kicking as well since sophomore year of high school. But just to have Blake beside me, like, let me know, like, hey, this is what it's like in games. Hey, in the stadium, the wind's like this. Like, it helps a lot. And then just to see him prevail and do super well in games is giving me confidence to do it this year.
John Sauber.
Hey, Jordan. What do you enjoy most? Do you enjoy kicking or punting most? And what do you see as your ideal role at Penn State, if you had your way?
I think I like both equally. I pride myself as a combo guy, kicking, punting, and kicking off, and holding this year too. I think my goal is to make it to the NFL. So I think the best way for me to make it to the NFL is exactly what I'm doing now: punting, kicking off, and hitting long field goals, just to show NFL teams that I can do all three. And but the best way to make it to the NFL is definitely punting and kicking off. So.
Mark Wogenrich. Mark. All right, we'll go to Jerry DePaula.
Jordan, hi. I appreciate your time today. I assume that the division of labor among field goal kickers remain the same this year, with Jake kicking inside the 50 and you outside the 50. And now you're going to be punting, apparently. How does that does your preparation change? You're going to be doing both this season.
Ever since I started kicking, like I said earlier, I pride myself as a combo guy. So like last year, I was just kicking field goals and kicking off. Like it's in sophomore year of high school, I've been practicing punting and kicking off. So I feel like I've been praying for this ever since I started.
All right, we'll go back to Nebias Wilborn.
What has for you the process of being back in Holuba Hall and just all of the dynamic of getting back on campus in the midst of the pandemic still going? What's that been like for you? How's the adjustment been?
It's felt good getting back with some of the team. As you probably already know, we're working out in small groups with mainly just our roommates and people we live around. So we've been doing that. I can't wait until we can finally be back with the entire team and then all the coaching staff.
Audrey Snyder.
Count. Joe Laurie likes to use the term pitch count with you and how he's going to change what you do in practice. Have you guys discussed that yet this year, and how your practice is probably going to look different than it has last year?
No, we haven't talked about that too much, because right now we're just worried about getting our workouts in, getting stronger and faster the way we can. I'm sure very, very soon we're going to be talking more about how we're going to be when we get back with the rest of the team. But as of now, I haven't heard much about it.
Donnie Collins.
Jordan, did you say you started kicking when you were a sophomore in high school? And why did you pick up kicking, and how quickly did you realize that you had a different kind of leg than other kickers did?
So I played soccer my entire life, and I played for club teams, and I feel like the best part of my game in soccer was striking the ball. I never really thought about kicking until one day I was out at soccer practice my 9th grade year when the quarterback came up to me and he said, "Hey, can you kick a 40-yard field goal for me?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I did it off the ground, and he just told me, I made it, and he's like, "You're going to play football next year." I'm like, "Okay." And then I talked to a bunch of my friends that were on the team, and they were all like, "Yeah, come do it. It's fun." So that's how it all started.
Mark Brennan.
Jordan, is it an adrenaline rush for you when you're kicking off, especially that first kick of a game? Can you take us through what that's like? Because, at least when fans are there, it's like the whole stadium seems to, get into it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'd like to say for the most part, I don't really get nervous, but adrenaline wise, yeah, like you have 107,000, 105,000 people watching you, and that's just in person. There's so many more on TV. I feel like in games, my kickoff range can go up about 5 more yards than what I usually do in practice.
Tyler Donahue.
I'm not sure if you're able to answer this, but I would love to get a little bit of a scouting report from you based on the Penn State kickoff returners. Not sure how much you work with those guys in practice last year, but the two that are listed, Journey Brown and Micah Parsons. As a kickoff specialist, what's your mode of operation dealing with each of those guys? Clearly very different athletes if they're back there together.
Yeah, so they're both freak athletes. Like Journey and Mike both are really, really good at what they do. I would be very comfortable with having either of them back there. I think right now, Journey's number 1 on the depth chart. But like I said, you guys probably know just as much as I do about that. But Journey or Micah, either one I'd be comfortable with.
John Sauber.
Jordan, Jake mentioned you guys working out up at the high school with Chris. How important is it for you guys to get together like that and kind of have that chemistry on field goals, especially with you as a holder?
Yeah, that's huge. Me and Jake really haven't had too much time to work together. So the times we do go to state high, it's huge. Like Blake was really, really good at holding, and they did have a lot of chemistry. And me, Jake, and Chris have been working on that, and I'm starting to feel really, really good about how the season's going to go in terms of holding and kicking.
Mark Wogenrich.
Can you hear anything, Paul?
Yep, you're good now.
Okay, thanks. Hey, Jordan, I wonder if you could take us back to the end of 2018-19. What was the process like of coming from Virginia Tech to Penn State? How did that all go?
It was a stressful process because I didn't know leaving Virginia Tech if I was going to get 5 scholarship offers or I was going to get 0, and I would just have to walk on somewhere else. So it was probably about 2 hours within me entering the portal that Penn State offered me, actually. So that whole process, it was stressful, but it ended up being one of the best decisions I've ever made because I love this place. I love the players and coaches, the area. It's been a really, really eye-opening process.
Jerry DiPaolo.
Jordan, I was wondering how much you said you did a lot of kicking during the quarantine. How much do you do every day? And is there a limit that sometimes the kickers have to watch they don't wear out their legs too much in the off season?
Yeah, so I kicked probably 3 or 4 times a week. I didn't want to do too much because I was lifting a lot and running at the same time, so I didn't want to hurt myself. Normal day at practice, I probably hit about 30 punts, 10, 20 field goals, but I was probably there for an hour and a half doing that because I would be doing drills. And I do a lot of drills because kickers can't kick that much. Just like a pitcher in baseball. If they threw 100 pitches, they wouldn't be able to play. They'd hurt themselves.
All right, at this time we have time for a 3rd round of questions. If you don't have a question, just please say pass. We'll go back to Nubias Wilborn.
You mentioned the when you talk about how many times you punt, like what are those drills like? Like, can you describe them? How do they go?
So the most important one, in my opinion, is just drop drills. Literally, all you do is you take your steps and you drop the ball. And then you're trying to, like, make the ball land a certain way and just doing that over and over and over again. In the game, you don't even have to think about it. It's just you drop it naturally. So, yeah.
Audrey Snyder.
Jordan, when you guys get together at State High, can you kind of describe for me what that atmosphere is like for you guys? How many guys are there? What types of things are y'all doing together?
It's just usually just me, Jake, and Chris because we're the only specialist back right now. But I mean, it's not too competitive because we're just trying to get better out there. Like me and Chris will snap to me while I punt, and then when we're done punting, we'll go over there and I'll hold for Jake and then hit a few field goals. Jake's actually been holding for me a little bit. We're trying to work on that because for the long field goals, we're gonna have to have someone hold. We're thinking Jake may be the way to go. He's getting a lot better. At first, he wasn't good at all, but he's gotten so much better.
Donnie Collins.
Jordan, what's the biggest challenge of being a good holder? I mean, I imagine anybody could learn the basic skills, but to be a really good holder, what do you need to be?
I think the biggest part of it is building a relationship with your snapper. Like me and Chris are to that point almost to where he can snap it every time and he can get the laces straight in front of the ball, so I don't have to spin it at all. I also think another big thing is you have to have good hands. If you don't have good hands, it's going to be really hard to hold.
Mark Brennan.
Jordan, I wanted to ask you one more about Coach Lorig. What is his just overall personality like? We've only had a couple chances to talk to him since he's been here. As a player, how does he communicate with you guys? You touched on it a little bit earlier, but just overall, what is he like?
Coach Lorig is a man of few words. I don't say that in a bad way whatsoever, but it's hard to explain Coach Lorig. He's almost a mystery. He's a great guy. He supported me so much through my process. If I ever mess up, like I said earlier, he has good criticism. It's not negative criticism. I think that's a big part of why he's such a good coach. He tells you how it is, but he also has a good personality to the point to where you can laugh with him.
Tyler Donahue.
I'm all set. Thank you very much for the time today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
John Sauber.
Jordan, you mentioned wanting to get a scholarship. Was that the only reason that you left Virginia Tech? And did you have any other offers outside of Penn State once you entered the portal?
So I entered the portal, and Arkansas and Penn State were the two big schools that had given me scholarships. I don't want to go too much into Virginia Tech and why exactly I left. It was pretty much I just feel like that I had proved myself and I wasn't getting the opportunity that I feel like I deserved. So honestly, that part was bigger than the part of me not having a scholarship, because once I commit to a team, I'm there. So the fact that I left, I just feel like I couldn't pursue my dream of the NFL there.
Peter Terpstra. Peter.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I jumped on the call late. Jordan, so I have a question. When you first started kicking, are all kickers kind of taught to punt and kick? Is it always kind of taught in tandem? And how do you kind of are you expected, kind of when you're going through high school to be able to master both, and then that opens up opportunities for you down the road?
That's a really good question. I feel like it differentiates from coach to coach. The coach I was with was a guy named Jimmy Howell. He was a punter at UVA about 7 or 8 years ago. He taught me first off to kick and punt. Like, it was both, because they always taught me that being a combo guy was so much more valuable to get into college. So from that point, I just worked on both all the way through high school and then into college. And I feel like it's made me much more valuable than if I could only just kick or just punt.
Mark Wogenrich.
Jordan, could you take us inside a Hullabaloo Hall workout? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like?
Masks. We have masks on. It's hot. It's a good atmosphere because all the guys have been away from each other for so long. Everyone gets hyped up during workouts. After the Luba workouts, we go outside and run, sometimes with the masks on. So I feel like it's helped us a lot running with the masks on, because it really puts the run without a mask on. But other than that, it's the lifts are the same. The only difference is it's on turf instead of on flat ground or like firm ground. So it's just a little different, but it's nothing really.
And we'll finish with Jerry DePaula.
Jordan, I'm curious. You mentioned you come from a really small town in Virginia. I'm curious, are there a lot of Hokie fans in that town? And did you have a lot of explaining to do when you decided to transfer?
Okay, so for the most part, the majority of the town and area I live in loves Virginia Tech. If it's not Virginia Tech, it's Tennessee because I live almost on the border of Virginia and Tennessee, but there's way more Virginia Tech fans. I had so much support. I think I saw one negative comment or two negative comments about me leaving. And the only negative comment I really had was one of my close friends. They're like diehard Virginia Tech fans, and he always gives me a hard time about leaving. But after the success I've had here at Penn State and being on scholarship, he just likes to mess with me. He's happy for me. But overall, I had a lot of support transitioning from Tech to Penn State.
All right, we'll finish it up there. Thank you, Jordan, for joining us today, and thank you, everyone, for hopping on.